What's up, guys? VoiD here, and kind of going to be talking about patch 3.0 and what I think the tier list is. And I know everybody's like, yo, it's a new patch, where's the tier list, right? Well, here it is. Surprisingly, I'm going to be starting from the bottom of the list going up. If you guys want to find out, where your favorite character may or may not be, or where Joker is, just stay tuned. Overall, I'll be talking about meta shifts, where characters are now in comparison to where they were a couple months ago, buffs and nerfs that came with 3.0, and our boy Joker. So, let's get into it. The main characters that got buffed were Corrin, Diddy, Mewtwo, Wii Fit Trainer, and Sheik. Yes, Sheik. And buffs weren't too big for most of them, kind of just like made them a little more relevant. Wii Fit got a pretty good amount of buffs. I've been having trouble with VoiD's Wii Fit, so I think those characters definitely won the patch. Characters that kind of lost the patch, kind of everybody. Everybody kind of got hit by projectiles nerfs, but projectile nerf happening makes it to where projectiles aren't strong. Parrying projectiles, you can act way sooner, so works out pretty well, Outside of that, Mega Man, Wolf, Pichu got some slight nerfs. Most of them kind of negligible. Seems like it was a very conservative patch. Nintendo didn't want to destroy many characters. So, start with the bottom of the list. So the bottom of the list, one of the main worst characters in this game, even though I don't like fighting him, Little Mac. Little Mac's, his moves aren't as safe on shield. His disadvantage, barely, this is still worse than Smash 4. He doesn't get side B back when he recovers. Any character in the game can gimp Little Mac, even Little Mac. So I think that's a pretty big deal. Other people around here, definitely, I would say Little Mac's kind of king of the bottom, but Kirby has some stuff, but he's just such a slow character that it's kind of hard to make anything work, The character really needs to close in the gap, and I feel like that's a really big problem in this game where a lot of characters can kind of move around so freely, Other than that, there's also the person who people have been saying is at the bottom for a pretty long time, Bowser Jr. It's just tough. It's another thing where a lot of characters in the game can edgeguard Bowser Jr. Neutral can be really hard. Catching characters as Bowser Jr. is really tough. I haven't been seeing as much of him in comparison to Smash 4, and even in Smash 4 you barely saw Bowser Jr. And this might be a little bit of a surprise to most people, but I'm actually going to put Captain Falcon in this tier. Falcon is he's a shell of his former self. Even in casual play, I feel like Falcon kind of gets overshadowed by Ganondorf. Top players aren't doing Falcon dittos anymore. Fatality isn't doing the greatest with Falcon, and albeit he's doing good, but the game's still kind of in an early meta phase where I feel like many characters can do good, But if your best character is good is kind of barely breaking it, it's kind of questionable on how strong that character is. And I believe in the Falcon players, Nixie Fatality, but I don't believe in the character. Now for the next tier, let me clean this up a little. I don't believe this to really be an E tier, if I were to be honest. This would be more of a C minus. While this would be a C tier. And then this would be B. B is kind of just perfectly middle. Maybe this would be C and C plus. I feel like C minus makes more sense though. B, A plus, and S. You know what? Let's make this C. Let's make this C plus. Because these guys are still kind of in the C tier, but they're a little better. Now, one of the main people that he doesn't belong here, but there's just been so many complaints that I feel he just got nerfed to getting even worse. King K. Rool. Why do we just not like this character? Like, is it because he's a zoning heavy character and his projectile is kind of ungimpable, or his recovery is ungimpable, and he has super armor on his attacks and the blunder? Yeah, okay, I see why you guys keep getting him nerfed. So Rool, he's pretty bad. If you understand how to edgeguard his recovery, which again most characters can do, it's kind of easy to deal with him. Playing around the armor isn't too like difficult either. I feel like he's much more of a problem at the lower levels. Higher up, I used to think I wouldn't be surprised if a Rool caused an upset. Now I'd be very surprised if a Rool caused an upset. Like, these characters cause more upsets than Rool because everybody knows how to fight Rool. Go on Elite Smash, you'll find a Rool within the first 4 games. Like, everybody knows how to fight Rool. Now another character down here that I kind of still keep my opinion on him being here, Luigi. Luigi, pretty good on stage, horrendous off stage. His off stage is so bad. And he's a character where, you know, his dash grab's kind of good, but he doesn't have a shield grab. In a game where shield pressure is really good, just doesn't work out. He does have uppy out of shield, however, which hits both sides, which is very, very good. But I feel like not having a grab can be such a deal breaker in a game like this. More importantly, though, I feel like his lack of off stage hurts the character a lot. Now, another character I'll put here, as much faith as I had in him, or her, as much faith as I had in them, doesn't seem like they lived up to it. Plant. I thought Plant would be really good, but it seems like Plant's game plan is very linear, kind of carried by Spike Ball, and the main thing, I've said this a lot, the recovery. The recovery is really exploitable. There's no hitbox on the Plant head. Like, how do you not have a hitbox? Like, you can just fly up and go like this, and you just have a hitbox. But Nintendo just decided the leaves are the way to go, and it's the way to go straight to bottom tier. So there's Plant, C+ tier. Not really too great, but one thing about the characters so far, they all have stuff. They're all like characters you can use and play. In comparison to the last games, where if you use a character in these tiers, you're kind of like playing without a right foot, you know? Like, these characters, they all function pretty well when you're fighting on stage. I think that's really exciting in this game. Now, this is another character a lot of people had faith. I had faith. But due to a little bit of a recent performance, I'll put him here. Ridley, legit, for the 8 characters I put so far, their recoveries suck. I don't know why they didn't give Ridley 8 angles, but it's a really big deal. When you get a Ridley off stage, you can gimp him very easily. Sometimes he just gets hit off stage and he can't recover. Like, you're a dragon that flies around, but you can't recover in Smash Brothers. It's pretty bad. On stage, really, really good. Might struggle with killing a little bit, just because there's really good smash attacks, but tilts, you need tippers. Edge trapping, phenomenal. Character's super solid, but also struggles from the fact that matchups are a really big deal the more you play Ridley. I feel like Ridley can't really get in on zoners and doesn't have the frame data to fight Rushdown, but he can zone out a lot of other characters pretty well. He can fight like characters in like this area and below, but he struggles a lot when it comes to fighting these characters. Now, this character's recovery isn't bad. Sonic. I feel like Sonic just, nothing works, if you want me to be honest. The game plan you had in the previous games doesn't work. Landing is really hard in this game. Sword characters are super good. And it's just harder. Like, you can't play Spin Dash the game. And sometimes I just feel like the strengths he used to have aren't here. Sonic players aren't doing too hot as well. Personally, I'm kind of glad, but Sonic's a pretty iconic character. He's a character where, like, I wish he was a little better, you know, just a little better. And that goes into my next point, character who for some reason has been up here the whole time. Bayonetta. Let's put a cooler character. Let's put Fox. So Bayonetta, the definition of characters that don't work. I've killed off the top with Pichu's up air more than I've seen Bayonetta's up air kill off the top. Bayonetta's up air is like a very, very weak forward air that just sends upwards for some reason. Like, it's more often to kill off the side with it, I feel. That move just is a shell of its former self. Bayo has really good movement though. Witch time still really good counter, not what it was, but still pretty good. But you need to work incredibly hard and you don't have the tools that you used to. Like, Bayo is a character where they added a lot of lag where there wasn't lag before, and it makes fighting Bayo a lot easier, which in a process makes playing as Bayo a lot harder. Another character that I'd put in this tier is both Ken and Ryu. I feel like they both have the same strengths, where if they can catch you, like, they have the potential to kill you pretty early. They have pretty good combos, but it's hard. It's hard to get in. It's hard to recover. Focus. People are so much more used to focus nowadays that I don't feel like it's as strong as it was. And I've personally just never really been too afraid of Ryu Ken, because they have to get in, and in a game where people are much more likely to be mobile, like, it's a very big problem getting in. And then you have pretty linear recovery. Focus is your best tool at a disadvantage. I feel like while they didn't really get shafted by the game, kind of did. I think Ryu's Nair got gutted. What they kind of did, but it's more so the characters in the game, new engine, like the characters themselves didn't get shafted, but they don't fit as well into this game. And the final character for the C+ tier, you know her, you love her, Isabelle. I'm surprised. Isabelle's fishing rod kind of got a weird nerf. Didn't really talk about it, but it doesn't work the way it used to, where it would kind of grab people on its way back. Now, kind of just like might miss. But overall, I feel like she just doesn't have very solid ways to kill people. Her traps in comparison to villagers aren't that good. Like, she doesn't have Lloyd Rocket, doesn't have Tree, which gives Axe. The confetti kills really, really early, but I feel like that's one of the best parts about Isabelle. And albeit, I'll say it a lot, I think Isabelle is a character that always looks like super happy and enjoyable to play as, but fighting against Isabelle is almost as enjoyable because you're not really too worried most of the time. Isabelle really has to fight to create space, and she doesn't do it too well. And that'll move me kind of off of this tier of characters into the B tier. So I would kind of consider B tier more of like the top of low tier. And I know B is kind of high, so you might consider this like bottom of middle tier, but I would more so consider A as middle tier, A plus is high tier, and S is top tier. So it's more like top tier, high tier, mid tier, low tier.